What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Trade or Die. Today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. I wanted to do an update from one of my previous videos talking about momentum and money flow, and then I just wanted to touch base on moving averages once again. So over the weekend we have dumped down a little bit, and we are once again tapping into the weekly 100 moving average. We are holding support there currently. We might wick below it. I'm kind of anticipating a bounce around 86, 87 area. But who knows? Who knows? We do have the 200 sitting down here, which is kind of in everybody's mind. A lot of people are anticipating, the leg down from the bear flag, and then we could probably measure the same distance, off of a head and shoulders, or, say inverse cup and handle. So, we could come down to sweep this low here. I wanted to talk about the money flow from one of my previous videos. So we talked about moving averages in my first video, and then we talked about momentum and money flow in the second video. Again, our weekly 21 has crossed over the 50, which previous cycle, this was the indicator that we're coming down. And when that crossed from the top, over a 67% drop, so we could, if this is indeed the top, I would say, anywhere from 40 to 50% from there, so wick down below this, is what I'm kind of thinking. Maybe even just tap the 200, but ultimately take this low at 74K, and possibly even taking this low out, just to wipe the market of leverage, I think. So be on the lookout for this. These trend line breaks, losing the 100-week moving average, could be a big deal, and it could potentially bring us down to this 200-week moving average. But the point of this video, I wanted to bring up is this weekly money flow. This our handy dandy little indicator down here. The green indicates a positive trend. The red indicates a negative trend. We're going down. So the last time the weekly money flow crossed into the red indicated, a bear market. And so, from this crossover into the red right here, it's basically from this point to the bottom, 66.91% decrease. Now, if you zoom into our current chart here, you can see the weekly money flow is now crossing into the red. This is not a normal occurrence. It happened a little bit here, and then we peaked back into the green. So, that is something to keep in mind, that, we could just dip into negative money flow and come back out. But this, in my opinion, is one of the most accurate trend-based indicators. So when we're crossing in the red, this is a very rare occurrence on, the Bitcoin chart. And so I just wanted to do a little update where we have crossed over on the weekly. The monthly money flow is curving down, which it does have, a little bit of upward curvature to it. So we could, like I said, bottom out below that low perhaps. Is kind of what, I'm anticipating. Kind of go down to some of these lower time frames here, 6 day, 5 days still got positive money flow, but you're kind of, dwindling down, 4 days in the red, 3 days in the red, 2 days just now crossing back into the red. You got a momentum wave on the downside. RSI is facing south. So going on the daily again, we rejected off that 100 right here. We rejected off the daily 100 moving average, and we're now below the 21 and the 50, after Friday and the weekend. So this is just something to be aware of, and you could probably measure this little bear flag here and, just say we're coming down probably to at least maybe take this low or just above it, and that could be the case. So this is just something, I wanted to bring up, keep everybody updated on everything. Maybe let's go down to like the 12 hour crossing into the red, so I mean going even further down, 4 hours deep into the negative. The momentum wave hasn't bottomed out yet. RSI's facing south. This is stochastic RSI. We're bottomed out. Damn well they can hang out down there for a while. And I love the 4 hour. That's probably my favorite time frame. So I'm gonna hop down here on like the 15 and just look at this. I mean, it's just the money flow is leaving. We do have a nice kind of rounded bottom here. So, we are starting to put in some lower time frame bullish divergence, which could potentially lead to a bounce. I'm kind of looking for a bounce around 86 or so, 85, 86, 87, something around 84 too. So we might see if we can get back up here and hold support, maybe make a double bottom. Look at this thing just dumping down. I think it's dumped probably $300 or $400 just since I've made this 7.5 minute video. So again, I just wanted to keep everybody updated on that weekly money flow, and how we have indeed crossed over into the red here on this weekly time frame. And so this crossover is similar to this crossover in that, we've kind of peaked in our bull market, and, now we're decompressing from that. We could, I think it was something like the bear market low swing failure pattern on that 786. So, I think even looking at that as a possibility, down in this zone is what I like the most. So I think we've definitely got a date with the this 200 week moving average. I think that's definitely in the cards here to come down in here. So again, I don't think it's anything to be scared of, unless of course you bought your Bitcoin up here. But we are maybe losing this 100 week moving average right now, my goodness, and it could be a pretty significant leg down here. I wouldn't be surprised if we range for a week, to make another flag. We'll probably find support somewhere in here for another little bounce, and then maybe finish the last leg. So hope everybody's hanging in there. I don't think this is necessarily a buy the dip situation, but I mean, who knows? This could be, it could be. It could be, and you know, this 21 could come back, find support, and you know, we could continue on our journey. But we're not here to predict, we're here to react. So don't be surprised if we get some people reacting this week. You know, there was a high percent chance of the government shutting down. You know, they're not printing money yet, but it does look like BlackRock might take over the Fed, so liquidity's coming. You can almost bet on that. Anyways, you know, 2026 might be some buy the dip territory, and it could be, you know, opportunity of a lifetime, possibly a generational opportunity for some people. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. Anyways, that's all I got.